Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. Who wins? I'll tell you right now. Psych, let me elaborate a little bit. So we, of course, have the safe states colorized in blood red, and we have the blue states in crypt blue. And, of course, we've got these states that are somewhat ambiguous. You would call these white or beige. These states in particular are going to be the ones in contention even a little bit, all right? So let's go ahead and just deduce what's going on. Right now, the economy is in tatters. It sucks. They can tell you unemployment is low. That's not true. The GDP is up. At what cost? The debt, the inflation, the interest rates on mortgages, everything's through the roof. And you might tell yourself, well, some things are looking up. The gas isn't so bad. But in reality, compared to Trump, which is the end of the day, that's the final comparison. What are the voters going to actually cast their ballot for? Oh, it's a little bit less bad than it was 6 months ago under Joe? Or will they say, was it better 3 years ago with Donald? That is the bottom line. And that's what I'm going to be using this prediction for. Now, if we look at the polling, if y'all will give me your attention for a second, you'll notice that Donald Trump is leading the RCP polling aggregate by 1.7% in the popular vote. Now, this is really powerful. If you remember the last election, Donald Trump lost the popular vote by about 4%. To Hillary, he had lost it by like 2%. So think about it. He lost by 2% to Hillary and still won the election in 2016. And then with Joe, with 4%, he officially lost, okay? Anyway, the point is that if he's winning by 1 or 2, that is actually huge. So look at these. These are all different polls. Most of these are liberal. Obviously, the Fox News has him up by 4, but I mean, even if you look at the other ones, these are all still mostly pretty good for Donald Trump. And you can even see the through line where Donald Trump, as of the last several weeks, has been going up. So we see a different sort of trend coming up. Now, what is so important to understand about this is basically that a lot of these states that Donald Trump lost last time, okay, a lot of these were down to a couple percentages, if not even less than 1%. So if his popular vote total is going to be 5 to 6% better than last time, then you could at the very least give him like an extra 3 to 4 points in every state as compared to the last time, after you take in some analysis as to the demography changes in the country going forward. So, for instance, Georgia, he lost by 0.2. Michigan, he lost by 3. In Wisconsin, he lost by 1. In Pennsylvania, he lost by 1. In Arizona, he lost by 0.3. Okay? Do we get a vibe? Do you get the vibe, folks? Do you understand how important it is that he's leading the popular vote in these polls? It's nuts. And keep in mind, historically, for over 6 years, the polls have nonstop been underestimating Republicans, but namely Donald Trump, more than anybody else this entire fucking time politically. And so for him to be leading the polls means that he's leading them by a lot, unless the polls are way off. If you guys remember the prehistoric days of the channel, in high school, I would use Trafalgar Data Group polling. This was the most favorable Republican polling that was still accurate. And Trafalgar had Trump losing the popular vote to Joe Biden the last election. But just imagine now where even the liberals are saying he's winning. It's insane. So, folks, we're now presented with this beautiful map, and we got to fill it out. So, we know that Donald Trump is going to do better the second time around. Again, this is based, the prediction therein is based off if the election were held today, what's going to happen. Right now, the American people are fed the hell up with Joe Biden. He is less popular than Donald Trump, which is saying a lot because Donald Trump was one of the least popular politicians ever in recent history. So keep that in mind. So when it comes to lesser of two evils, Joe used to be the normal guy. Flipped scenario. Plus, we add in 3 years of dementia, 3 years of pretty much Alzheimer's, folks. We're talking about somebody who cannot form a sentence. I remember 3 years ago, I used to make arguments like this guy's not all the way there mentally. Now there's no debate. Nobody's even arguing that. They're just not mentioning it, which is a complete abdication of the argument by the left. And so anyway, we'll fill out the map finally. So if we look here, so Minnesota, after going narrowly to Hillary Clinton in 2016, went to Biden by 7% last time, which is insane to think about. But it shows that Minnesota really isn't all there mentally as well. So it's going to go Democrat again by like 2 to 3%. And it's a little bit rough there. It's tough. It's cold up there, and it's going to stay that way. All right. Well, the next state we got is Ohio. Ohio went like red by 8 or 10%. It's already a done deal. You're going Republican. Now, it's losing electoral votes, so it becomes less popular over time. But okay, fair enough. We need that. Now, Texas is going red as well. the trends that we thought were scary coming into 2020 with regards to the suburban areas in the Sun Belt are being assuaged in real time. We have a candidate like Carrie Lake, who's as far right as mainstream Republicans can get, and still narrowly lost the election for governorship in 2022. So realistically, we're seeing that the Sun Belt is not that bad electorally speaking as a prospect. And so that's good to see. We've also got New Hampshire, which honestly is going Democrat again. These people in New Hampshire are very spoiled brats. If you look at them electorally, they're all over the place, and they're these like white, atheistic, secular moderates. And these aren't really the best sort of people for Trump to appeal to. And so, with that being said, you could see that he'll do better than last time, but not enough to win. Not that the state will matter at all going forward. And so, it is what it is. We're going to give the Republicans the W, of course, in this case. So let's go ahead and just give them the L, sorry. All right. So you'll notice that we've got a lot of states left. It's still an open race. Well, North Carolina, we saw go for a couple points to Donald Trump in 2020 and in 2016. Now, what makes North Carolina better than most states is that the suburbs, while trending blue, are still a little bit more, you would say, blue collar, more populist, more white trashy, so to speak, more conservative in inclination. These suburbs are more cognizant of how ridiculous the Democrats are in large happenstance, which means that it's more likely to go like 6 points Republican. Maybe not that much, maybe 5, but that doesn't matter. A win's a win is a win. So let's go ahead and give this to Donald John Trump. All right, moving on to the state of Florida. Florida is going Republican as well. Now, this is going to be key. This really just helps the map out a lot. You know, if Florida were ever in question in the election, the Democrats would win every time, given how funding works. But because Florida is so Republican, what that means is that the tens of millions of dollars that the Republican Party would have spent otherwise would go to other states, which is good. Now, you might say, well, the Democrats are also going to pull funding from Florida. And that's true. But the thing is that the Republicans have way less money than the Democrats on aggregate, like in a 3-to-1 ratio, which is to say that every dollar saved by the Republicans is actually a bigger deal and a bigger value to the GOP than it is for the Democrats to save money. Hence why, you know, consolidating the map benefits the Republicans more than the Democrats. That being said, we've got Florida locked up. Okay, we got the whole Jalen Ramsey on Florida. They're done. Good. All right, next state, Michigan. Michigan's going to be tough. Why do I say Michigan? Michigan's demography is somewhat haphazardly Trump versus Biden. It's like in a very in-between state. You have a bunch of white trash that vote Republican. You have a lot of rural people that vote Republican. You have a lot of suburban people that vote Democrat. You have a lot of black people that vote Democrat. You have a lot of welfare recipients overlap there. Anyway, you see these people voting Democrat, of course. So there's a lot of everything. But what you don't have a lot of is clear predictions for the state of Michigan. It went to Joe Biden by 3 last time, but the day before that, electorally, we saw Hillary lose it narrowly to Trump by like 1. Which is to say, folks, that we have a state in Michigan that is diverse in all the wrong ways. We have a state that cannot make its mind up. So I struggle to make a prediction on the fly. Therefore, I would put it as a yellow toss-up, but I'm not an idiot. So I'm going to put a gun to my head and say, I'm going to pick something. I'm going to make it go Republican. Why? Well, think about it. Think of Michigan. Think of 8 Mile, Eminem. Do you really think that white guy, some random undecided voter who's apolitical, do you think some 35-year-old white guy is going to look at Joe and say, wow, shit's going really well in this dilapidated shithole like Detroit. It's going really well in Flint. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, you know what? I'm either going to sit this one out or I'm going to vote Republican, because that populist message by Donald Trump, bring the jobs back, blame the Mexicans, that works. Okay. So we're going to put this as Republican. Now, we have the state of Georgia. Georgia is really interesting because Georgia is, in a major way, a little more complicated than you'd expect. So Georgia is something that has been trending Democrat for the past 15 years. In fact, it's been trending Democrat since about Mitt Romney, or even before that. So we really do see the state as going away from us. And if you remember, post-2020 election, everybody was prognosticating the demography change as being negative for the Republicans. That is very true. That being said, though, these opportunistic white suburban voters that went from Trump to Biden because he's unsavory took it like a they took a look at Joe and said that straight white guy, 70-year-old like grandfather figure was not there. Grandpa has Alzheimer's. They're going back to the orange plantation in Mar-a-Lago and they're saying, I want Trump to be my daddy now. And that's what's going to exactly happen. Okay. So we have these wishy-washy, fair weather voters. They're all coming back. They're all coming back to Trump. Think about it that way. The people that in 2020 thought, wow, this virus is awful, the economy's not doing so hot, and Trump is annoying and he's like boisterous. I don't like that. I'm going for Joe. Well, they went to Joe and they realized the guy personally sucks. And just as a game manager, he can't even do that right. He can't pull an Andy Dalton. He cannot be a Brock Purdy. He cannot just be a point guard. No, he has to fuck it up. He has to fumble the ball. Well, in that case, you're getting cut from the damn team. We're swapping again. So we have a lot of these, Trump to Biden voters going back to Trump. So think about it. With that being said, I see Trump winning Georgia by like 2. All right. Now, Pennsylvania to win the election. Keystone State. It's going Republican. Folks, this state went Democrat by 1.2%. And John Fetterman beat Mehmet Oz. You might think it's over, bro. No, it's not over. Why? Because Joe Biden is a worse candidate than those other people I mentioned. In fact, I would say Joe Biden is uniquely fucking terrible. In fact, there's no worse person to run for president than Kamala Harris. So as long as that doesn't happen, he's the worst. Now, a lot of people, and I'd say tens of thousands of people, easily voted for Joe Biden last time because, well, he's Scranton Joe, and that was a grift, and oh, well, he's from here. Okay, whatever. He's familiar. He's cozy. That doesn't exist anymore. Any goodwill that he had does not exist. In fact, I'll say this. The positive opinion of Joe in the 2020 election, according to CNN exit polls, was +3, meaning more people than not said, okay, I like him, just in a generic esoteric sense, okay? Whereas with nowadays, it's like -10. So people actively distaste the nigga. So now we're talking about somebody who in Pennsylvania is going to be disgraced. In fact, a lot of the times when he said, oh, I'm pro-fracking, oh, I'm not going to ban fossil fuels, that is gone. You're out. That bullshit will not fly again with these idiotic, and again, shame on you, oil workers, you shale oil retards in Pennsylvania, you fucking imbeciles. Oh, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. You idiots. Guess what? Oh, your jobs are gone. Oh, wow. Yeah. Congratulations, jackass. So anyway, these people are coming back to the Trump plantation where they belong. All right, time to vote Republican. Return to tradition. You're back. All right. Let's go to Nevada. Nevada is going Republican. The trends are all blowing in this direction. Right. Think about it. Republicans are just, in general, having well of a good time. They run the machine well. A lot of the Democratic bona fides come from Harry Reid, who was a senator like 15 years ago. There was a political apparatus to be had there in Nevada. They've lost that. They definitely have lost their way as a Democratic Party. That being said, the Republicans have been doing well, as evidenced in 2020, but also in 22. They really got close to winning the senatorship, and they flipped the governorship. So with that being said, everything's headed towards a complete W for Trump in the state of Nevada. He gets it. Now, Wisconsin went blue narrowly in 22 and in 2020. Well, listen to this. Donald Trump will do better in Wisconsin for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's going to be more of an effort to get these people in the rural areas, these white people, to vote Republican when they haven't really participated and they haven't really turned out as much as you would like them to have had to. And so that being said, that will compensate. Now, the suburbs that trended left wildly are going to whip back because, again, a lot of these fair weather people opportunistically voting for the other party are going to come back as a whiplash to the incumbent president, in this case, Joe Biden. So they're coming back. And, again, Donald Trump already won the state before. It's cozy. I think Trump will win Wisconsin by 3. All right, final and most important state, Arizona. Arizona is also going Republican. Why is this? Well, think about it. Kari Lake lost the election by 1%. Lost, by the way. And she's pretty far right. So Donald Trump ought to do better than that. Plus, with the way that the demography is shifting, you'll notice that the Republicans have actually consolidated a lot of that McCain vote as anti-Democrat vote. And it's a very nuanced thing that you would have to live here to understand. But the point is that Trump probably is going to get 52 to 53% of the vote in Arizona. He'll win it by like 4. And the reason is because the Republicans have all the juice. The Democrats, all they could really be excited about is voting against Trump, which isn't an incentive, or two, voting for abortion rights. But that, it's art. That was, as of later on, it's going to be 2 years old of an issue. And even still here, it's like a stretch to think that really matters. So that is your presidential prediction. Donald Trump gets 314 electoral votes to Joe Biden's 224. Things are subject to change, but this prediction was made under the auspices of it being held today, basically. So Trump W imminent. If he's winning the popular vote by even 1%, he wins the election writ large. Thank you for watching. Adios.